afternoon, friends. Stephen Benoon here with Israeli News Live. It is November the 16th, 2024, and things are going pretty nuts everywhere. Right now, Netanyahu is facing a massive gathering in Tel Aviv where people are calling out for an investigation for what happened on October the 7th. Um, this is starting all over again, picking back up where the protesters left off when Netanyahu and his right wing government were trying to bring about a judicial reform in Israel, and the protests were in the masses over in Tel Aviv. 10,000 plus protests were happening, all the way up to 100,000 protesters were coming out into the streets, and they're doing it again. Now they're doing it because they're calling for an investigation on October the 7th. And rightfully, there should be. I mean, I heard a year in advance something terrible was going to happen in the Middle East. I wasn't given specifics of where. I assume maybe Israel or something to do with Israel, but my source would not tell me for sure. Only confirmed after October the 7th that that was the event. And then we find out that Hamas was in training for a year. Yes, before this attack that led to the fatalities of over 1,000 Israelis, 250 captives, and yet Israel knew that there were going to be 250 hostages taken by Hamas. And then how did Hamas manage to just walk into Israel, going past security fences, past security, every camera that was held there, IDF soldiers not even available there. The guards, the armories that were once in like places like Sderot to protect the citizens in the event of an overrun such as this had been taken away. The cameras had been taken away. The computer monitors had been taken away. The whole disarmament. And then, of course, now we have Israeli soldiers playing in the Knesset the very stand down orders they were given just before the attack happened, about an hour before the attack took place, that they were not to engage. Not to engage. You have very well-known figures like Rabbi Mitzrahi, which I hate using that word, but I'll use it for this sake here, saying that it was an inside job, not only an Israeli, but a former IDF, a very popular guy in New York City. He claimed it was an inside job. Many Israeli soldiers came out and said it was an inside job. On October the 8th, we were publishing a letter from an IDF soldier, former IDF soldier in Israel as part of the brigade, also claiming it was an inside job. They were told to stand down. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming. But things just get even more crazy, right? We also have, too, now unremovable Israeli spyware found on a Samsung device's Business Wire. Samsung faces backlash over the app cloud, an Israeli developed app pre-installed on budget Galaxy A and M series devices. Investigations reveal the app is embedded in the operating system, preventing full removal even when disabled. So figure that there. Israel is getting a hold of a lot of devices out there. And before I go into Marjorie Taylor Greene here, which I'm going to go to her in just a moment, I want to play this clip here sent to me by Penny there with Awake Nation. She sent me this clip right here. This guy is talking about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and how that because he claims that they're making certain remarks like Hitler and Adolf Hitler and what they got was good and things like that. Listen, I'll tell you straight up. All right. I highly respect Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson for that matter there. And I don't know if his comments are true, but I will say this here. He claims that they are going to be totally destroyed financially and legally, is what he is claiming in his video here. But I had family that died in the Holocaust. They were extended family, mind you. But what Israel is doing over in Gaza, not only with the war that has left for gosh, over 2 years there of bombing constantly, bringing into nearly a total annihilation, but now there is practically nothing these children can do and the mothers can do. They're freezing, they're cold, winter is setting in, it is raining, it is wet. You go inside their tents and stuff and they're underwater. It is a complete crying shame. Why? Because Israel determines whether or not they're allowed to stay warm, whether or not they're allowed to have drinking water, whether or not they're allowed to have food. It is still a dictatorship. It is truly, it is a prison of the most deplorable conditions on the planet there. So, it is very sad to see what's happening. So, Mr. Ford, let's hear some of your comments here. I'll play a little bit of what you had to say on your video here.
Mengele experiments on the Jews in the Second World War, the horrific experiments
And I'll agree, there were horrific experiments. Now, your claim that Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson is promoting such ideology, I believe, is just nonsense. Maybe there is something, I'm not aware of that, but I will tell you one thing. The mere fact that the Jewish people, our families, suffered in the Holocaust should be the very reason why there should not be a genocide in Gaza. It should have been totally handled differently. I sit there and I think to myself, for the Jewish people that claim Moses to be your prophet, and he tells you when you go into this land to love your neighbor as yourself. Of course, when Jesus comes along, a very Jewish guy, right? A Judean, not even a Jew. He's a Judean, right? He comes along, tells you to love your neighbor as yourself and everything. And then the Pharisees have to say, well, who do you call my neighbor? Come on, are you that dense? I'm really just getting so irritated listening to such nonsense. I've got a new hero in the government, though, and that's Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I don't expect her to probably get to stay long because AIPAC totally controls everything in Washington, D.C. right now. And I'm sure this is why they're going to pass all the laws that they can against what they call anti-Semitism. Don't even call it anti-Semitism, please. Are you serious? You're going to take Netanyahu, Smotrich, Ben Gvir, a bunch of Ashkenazi, oh gosh, what do you call that? Khazarian Knesset warlords, and you're going to say that they're Semitic. No, Palestinians are far more Semitic than any of these three guys are, by far. Far more Semitic. And if anything, you're annihilating Palestinians because you know that's the truth. There have been Jewish scholars in Israel that have proven that they are genetically, 50% of them genetically more Semitic than most European Jewish people. And listen, I got family on both sides. I got Ashkenazi family on my mother's side, and I got Sephardic Jewish people on my father's side. So, I'm in the middle with this here. But the thing is, when it comes to the Sephardic Jewish people, those that are more from, or Arabic Jewish people, those are considered the low class. Of course, you did kidnap 2,000 of the Yemenite Jews' babies and sent them over to Europe in order to be able to try to get a little bit of Semite blood in you since you knew you didn't have any. Listen to Marjorie.
About something you posted just yesterday on X. You questioned who and what country is putting so much pressure on Trump to keep the Epstein files hidden. And you included a picture about donations from pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC. What are you trying to say there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's the question that many Americans are asking, especially when we saw information recently come out in these emails that the Oversight Committee that I serve on has released. And we saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them, also business deals that involved the Israeli government and seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? And I'm proud to say I don't take money from AIPAC. I don't take money from any special group of people. I'm just representing my district and the American people. And so that's what I was referring to.
Yes, 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 yes. And of course, the host there cannot smile because, you got to remember CNN and all the rest of them are controlled also by AIPAC. Isn't it interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Listen, turning to our attention to Nigeria, I want to share real quick before I go to this post there. we're being exterminated. Nigerian Christians beg Trump for help as villages burn and bodies pile up. Leading a human rights watchdog warns that Nigeria's Christians are facing a slow motion genocide and could be wiped off the map by 2075 if nothing is done. Nigeria is under siege, says leading activists who warn their armed Islamic groups and even country's own military are carrying out a coordinated campaign of violence against Christians. Over 150,000 Christians have been butchered in the last 16 years, 20,000 churches destroyed, and a vast regions cleansed of believers, leaving behind ghost towns and charred sanctuaries. The article continues on, and they in Nigeria, they are just being wiped out. Well, I got kind of curious. I thought, I wonder if there's any any involvement with Israel, right? Because it seems like anything Christian, right? The Christians of Syria wiped out as much as possible. The Christians of Bethlehem totally decimated, where their numbers did once number in the tens of thousands. Now they're just like, I think, 2,000 that live in Bethlehem now. They've had to move abroad or they're just no longer, right? Christians in Gaza, pretty much wiped out. Christians in Lebanon, churches destroyed, wiped out. I mean, it's really becoming very interesting. Any of the Christians in these parts of the world where they could be possibly ethnic Jewish, right? They're wiped out, right? Isn't it interesting? Now, Nigeria, let's see what it says here because I wanted to see maybe Israel's possibly got some hand in this. Nigerian general, terrorist rebels in Africa use Israeli weapons. Oh, let's see what he has to say then.
As a Palestine, because if I'm the Palestine, that is the only thing I can do. I can join anything. Less than Hamas, I can join. I don't care to die. That is a normal, it's natural. But the point is, what President said, His Excellency, I have already made the comment before. The two-state solution is the best way. Let Palestine have their state and their headquarters must be in Jerusalem. Israel have their own headquarters already in Tel Aviv. And if you watch very well, Israel are just abused it all. They just come occupy the whole Palestine land. And they kill them, kill everybody. Engagement of a war. As retired military.
No wonder why Israel is arming the opposition to the government of Nigeria. They stand for the Palestinians. They stand for peace. So it's no wonder. Gololo, a retired army general in Nigeria who went in several countries in Africa, including Mali and Liberia, for peacekeeping, has exposed that most of the weapons that seized from the terrorists and rebels in different countries were originally from Israel, something that exposed Israeli hands in the conflicts and terrorism happening in some African countries. In an exclusive interview with the Iran press, in Abuja regarding the current situation in the Middle East, General Golo commented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who called for serious action from the world to stop Israeli genocide against Palestine by declaring independent Palestine with Quds as its capital. Well, you can count on one thing. I hate to say it, and God bless the Christians of Nigeria. I feel for you. I wish Trump would do something, but I'm sorry, he's not going to be able to. Trump is owned by the Israeli lobby. So he's only going to do the bidding that they want done. He does that because he doesn't want them to release the Epstein files. Trump is going to be a very good boy because he doesn't want those Epstein files released at all. At all. That would be very, very damning for him. Anyway, Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live. Thank you for listening.